Welcome back to the cryptoworld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is flashing a new signal that we need to pay attention to, while Ethereum is forming a new pattern in the short term and bouncing from critical support, which I'll talk about later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just giving you a really quick update here on the weekly Bitcoin chart. And of course, right now, the price of Bitcoin is still running into that major area of resistance, sitting in between around 36,000 to 38,000. But even though the price is somewhat struggling here in the short term relative to the weekly time frame, as in over the last couple of weeks, of course, we're still technically within the much larger bullish trend that I've been talking about since the very beginning of this year, here on the larger time frames, like the 3-day or 4-day chart, and obviously here on the weekly chart, forming significant higher lows and higher highs. And of course, if we ultimately break out above 38,000 with confirmation, whether that's after a sideways consolidation or pullback, either way, if we break out above 38k with confirmation, then the next significant level of resistance on the weekly time frame is sitting at around 42,000, and above that we have much more resistance at around 48 to 49,000 that are mainly based on Fibonacci levels. But anyway, zooming into the daily Bitcoin chart, and of course we still have that bearish divergence, which is still somewhat playing out here in the price of Bitcoin in the form of reduced bullish momentum over the last couple of weeks, which is what I've been talking about over the last couple of weeks. And as I always say, the most common outcomes from a bearish divergence are usually choppy sideways price action, if not a pullback in the price of Bitcoin. But like I've also said over the last couple of weeks, I would not necessarily expect a massive pullback in the price of Bitcoin due to the fact that the DXY or US dollar index is still pulling back. It is still crashing. And so now I won't be going too much into detail about this chart in this video because I have done that a lot in recent videos here on the channel. But basically, if you're new to this channel, all you need to know is if the DXY is bearish, that is usually bullish for Bitcoin, and vice versa. If the DXY is bullish, that is usually bearish for Bitcoin. And so basically, while the DXY is pulling back right now, it is very difficult to see a significant pullback here in the price of Bitcoin. And so due to that, and due to the bearish divergence on the daily time frame, once again, this is resulting in a lot of choppy sideways price action just in the shorter term here on the daily time frame. But believe it or not, you can make a lot of money very easily in choppy sideways price action just like this. And if you want to know how to do that, then stick around to the end of this video to find out more. But while the price of Bitcoin is just chopping around sideways here in the shorter term, we're still remaining in this ascending parallel channel here on the 8-hour Bitcoin chart, technically forming higher lows and higher highs. So of course, in terms of the trend, we are still looking more bullish than bearish. Clearly, the price is still trending in the bullish direction. And the first sign of a possible short-term trend reversal into more of a short-term bearish trend would be, of course, a break of this line of support sitting at around 36.2k to 36.3k. But it is important to understand the difference between the different timeframes. So, of course, even in that scenario, even if we see a short-term trend reversal, that does not necessarily change anything here on the larger timeframes, like the weekly chart, for example, because obviously, as you can see here, it's been very clear that throughout all of 2023, the price of Bitcoin has strictly been in a bullish trend if you're looking at the larger timeframes like this weekly Bitcoin chart. But of course, during this larger bullish trend, we have seen shorter term pullbacks on the weekly chart, which if you zoom into the daily time frame, for example, look more like short-term bearish trends. And so once again, if we do end up seeing a break below that ascending line of support on the 8-hour chart, it's possible that could result in a bit of a short-term bearish trend, but here on the larger time frames, we can remain within the much larger bullish trend because that will just be a pullback within the bullish trend. But at least for now, of course, we're still trending in the bullish direction also in the short term as well. It's just as of right now, we're lacking a bit of bullish momentum due to that bearish divergence, but we have not yet confirmed any bearish reversal. And so now, if you're zooming into the 6-hour Bitcoin chart, we can see the price of Bitcoin is still forming this ascending triangle pattern, which is technically a bullish pattern, but ultimately we still need to actually confirm a breakout either above this resistance or below this support in order to actually activate the pattern and set up a technical price target. And once again, this short-term area of resistance is still sitting in between around 37.6k to 38k, so 38,000 is still the level to break. But for support, we have this ascending line of support, which once again is sitting at around 36.2k to 36.3k. And speaking of of short-term support and resistance, we can also see something similar forming here in the 6-hour Bitcoin RSI. Of course, we have a symmetrical triangle pattern forming lower highs and higher lows. And so essentially the RSI is telling us that right now the price is coiling up. So essentially we're lacking momentum in the immediate short term, but we are building up, getting ready for potentially a volatile move, getting ready for a bigger move once we finally break one of these levels. And of course, for the traders out there, it does not matter whether we break to the downside or to the upside. We don't need to know which way we're going. We just need to actually wait for confirmation, either wait for a confirmed break below support or above resistance. Because for example, if we break below support, we can enter a short position and trade that move to the downside towards the price targets. Or on the flip side, if we continue to bounce above that support and we actually break out above this resistance with confirmation, then we can enter a long position and trade that move to the upside. So either way, we can make profit from the coming move, whether it's bullish or bearish. And if you want to prepare in advance for this next move coming soon, make sure you have an account ready to go so you can actually trade this move if you want to. And one of the most popular trading exchanges, one of the most popular derivative exchanges out there is Bybit. And I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit in the description down below and in the pinned comment. And in fact, if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account, you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus just by using that link and making your first deposit. But unfortunately, due to regulations around the world, there's some countries where you may not be able to access Bybit in. And so if that's the case, there is also Bitflex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC with Bitflex. And I'll make sure to leave a link to Bitflex in the description down below and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below to make a Bitflex account, simply deposit $100 worth of crypto or more, and to make one trade on the derivatives market over at Bitflex, that can get you a 10 USDT bonus. And that 10 USDT bonus is not just a trading bonus. You can actually withdraw that 10 USDT. And so it's essentially a free 10% return on a $100 deposit. And so if you're trading crypto anyway, or if you're preparing for this next trade coming up soon, then make sure you check out those links down below for those extra bonuses. And as for the technical price targets for the breakout from this ascending triangle pattern, if we break out to the upside above 38K with confirmation, then that will set up a technical price target at approximately 41K. But on the flip side, if we see a confirmed break below that line of support, then that would set up a technical price target at approximately 33.5K. And so essentially the price of Bitcoin, once we either break either this support level or this resistance level, we're likely going to see roughly around an 8% move in the price of Bitcoin, which is a potential trade we can take. But remember, these technical price targets do not come into play until we first see either a confirmed break below support or above a resistance. So that is the signal that we are waiting for. And if you're taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can see some liquidations are sitting at approximately 37.5K. And so we could potentially see a short-term bounce just to liquidate those positions at around 37,500. But we do have some more liquidity building up at around 36.6K approximately. And so due to the price being somewhat volatile in the short term, once again, it's possible we could bounce up towards that liquidation level at around 37.5K before quickly going back down towards around 36.6 to 36.7K to liquidate those positions. But obviously that is still bouncing around, just chopping around within this triangle pattern, and we only confirm a breakout once we see a confirmed break of one of those levels just here. But anyway, getting into the Ethereum part of this video, this is on the weekly time frame, and of course the price of ETH is still running into this major area of resistance, sitting in between around $2,000 to $2,150. And so at least for now, of course, the price of ETH is still forming this massive ascending triangle pattern, which once again is technically a bullish pattern because it is more likely to break out to the upside than to the downsides. But obviously, because we have not yet confirmed a breakout above 2,150, it's still a possibility we could end up seeing a rejection from that resistance within this triangle pattern. And if you're taking a look at the daily time frame, obviously just recently, a few days ago, we did end up seeing another perfect rejection from this resistance that I've been talking about, sitting in between around 2120 to 2150. But as for support, we do have this Fibonacci level of support, which is similar to these previous highs, which was previous resistance, now acting as new support. And this is sitting really in between around 1990 to 2010. And right now, just in the short term, the price of ETH is of course finding some short-term support around that level. But if we see a confirmed break back below around 1990, then in that case, the next level of support on the daily time frame is sitting at around 1.9K, and below that that, we have more support at around 1830. And just like Bitcoin, of course, the daily Ethereum price oscillators as of right now are lacking momentum. We have pulled back from the highs and we're basically chopping around sideways in the short term. And so this is, of course, reflecting in the price as mostly choppy sideways price action, which is what I've been talking about over the last couple of weeks. But once again, you can easily make money in choppy sideways price action just like this. And if you want to know how to do that, once again, stick around to the end of this video to find out more. But first, taking a look at the 8-hour ETH to US dollar chart, and right now the price of ETH is forming a new pattern. Just like Bitcoin in the short term, the price of ETH is now forming an ascending triangle pattern here in the short term, because right now, of course, we have horizontal highs in the price with resistance at around 2120 approximately based on the 8-hour candle closes. And as for support, we do have this ascending line of support sitting at approximately 1990. And right now, as of recording this video, the price of ETH is actually slightly bouncing from that line of support. But remember, this pattern only activates. We only set up a technical price target once we confirm a break either below that line of support or above this line of resistance. And just recently, of course, we have seen a small divergence between the price and the RSI. For example, a couple of weeks ago, we did see this hidden bullish divergence between the price and the RSI, obviously with the price forming higher lows and the RSI forming lower lows. But just more recently, as I mentioned in my last video, we do have this weak bearish divergence with horizontal highs in the price and lower highs in the RSI. And so basically, these two divergences are essentially canceling each other out, but ultimately resulting in a lack in momentum in the imminent short term, which is once again why we're seeing a lot of choppy sideways price action, which is also forming this ascending triangle pattern just here in the short term. And once we do ultimately break out either above this resistance or below that line of support, of course, that would set up a technical price target for this pattern. And if we break out above that line of resistance, that would set up a technical price target at around 2420. And so from the point of the breakout to 2420, that's around a 14% move to the upside. Or if we break below that line of support, that would set up a price target at around 1730 to 1740. And so from the point of the break to the downside to that price target, that would be roughly around a 12% move to the downside. And so once again, like Bitcoin, the price of ETH is kind of coiling up in the short term, getting ready for its next major move, either below this support or above this resistance. We just need to wait for that confirmation signal to actually confirm. And just giving you a really quick update here on the 4-hour Solana to US dollar chart, because this has been a highly requested altcoin in my comment section. And of course, just recently, we did see a small breakout above this descending line of resistance. But since then, with the pullback in Bitcoin and ETH, of course, Solana has followed like most of the crypto markets. But just recently, we have seen a short-term bounce from this previous line of resistance, which is now acting as support. And that was sitting at around $54. But right now, it is sitting closer towards around $53. And it is important for the price of Solana to actually maintain above that line, because if we see a break further to the downside, and especially below this horizontal line of support, which is sitting at around $51 to $52, then it's possible we could form a new head and shoulders pattern here in the short term. Of course, we already have a left shoulder and a head, but right now we are potentially forming a right shoulder, but that is not yet confirmed. And so in order to confirm that bearish scenario, basically within the next couple of days, we would really need to see a break below this horizontal line of support, once again at around $51. And if that happens, if we see a confirmed break below $51, then looking at a technical price target for that head and shoulders pattern, that price target would be sitting close to $40. And so from the point of the break to the downside, from that neckline to that price target, we're talking about around a 21% move to the downside if we actually complete the head and shoulders pattern and confirm a break below that support, which obviously right now has not yet happened. But we need to remember that most of the crypto market, Solana included, usually follows what Bitcoin and Ethereum are doing. And so if Bitcoin and ETH actually break out from those ascending triangle patterns in the short term, that could help the price of Solana against the USD. But on the flip side, if we see a further break to the downside with Bitcoin and ETH, if they basically break to the downside and continue that short-term pullback, of course, that will be bad news for Solana just in the short term, because Solana and a lot of cryptos out there usually follow what Bitcoin and ETH are doing. But either way, if you want to know how to profit from crypto, no matter what the price is doing, whether we are bullish, bearish, or simply chopping around sideways, you can profit no matter what the price is doing by watching these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how to make money if the price is bullish or bearish using AI, and the video in the bottom left is the video you should see, because that shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.